Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. We're shortly going to get into a video of Brad Bradley talking about the FBI and the information they've got on Amy, but won't release it to the family because it's still an open case. And obviously, this was brought to light by many sort of documents that have come out, TV series, and it's really led to nothing. There are people that's come out with information. So Amy Bradley is an American woman who mysteriously disappeared from the Royal Caribbean cruise ship, the Rhapsody of the Seas, in March 1998 at the age of 23. Her case remains unsolved and continues to receive public attention, most recently due to 2025 Netflix documentary early on this year, people series Amy Bradley is missing. Circumstances: Amy was on a family vacation cruise en route to Krakow. In the early hours of March the 24th, 1988, she returned to her cabin after a night out dancing. Her father-in-law saw her sleeping on the cabin's balcony at around 5:30 a.m. in the morning. When he checked on her at 6 a.m., she was gone, leaving behind her sandals, but taking her cigarettes and lighter. Initial response: the family immediately alerted the crew, but the ship's personnel did not seal off the ship to make an immediate announcement, a decision that had been heavily criticised as a mistake that could have hindered the search efforts. And like I said, there's so many reported sightings of her, but obviously over the years, it's sort of dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. And recent development in current status: Amy Bradley was declared legally dead in March 2010 based on the Virginia's 7-year missing persons law. However, she remains on the FBI missing persons list. And obviously, the FBI are offering rewards. The family are offering rewards as well. There's an FBI website as well. But it seems like the family want more. And listening to Brad Bradley, he seems exhausted in finding information on his sister, but he doesn't seem to be giving up. People say the family know more, but I just don't think so. Why would you put so much effort in hiring private investigators, traveling to the Caribbean, and doing all of this if you know what happened to it? It just doesn't make sense to me. And it's certainly not for money because they're a wealthy family as it is.
Now, from a legal, legislative, sort of actionable on the government side of things, you've been dealing with the federal government and you've been dealing with the state government. So let's talk about your sort of time in Washington and what you guys have been working on there.
Yeah. So on September 4th, we went up to D.C. with our team and met with Senator Grassley's team. I don't know whether to call them his attorneys or his staffers or what you call them, but we met with his people and presented our case with all the certain asks that we are hopeful to achieve, and left that meeting feeling very encouraged, much more so than when we walked into that room.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, Grassley's team has sent internal communications to the federal level, I believe, and they haven't shared with us because it's, I guess, a confidential matter to them what exactly the letter said or who exactly it went to. But I believe it was to DOJ officials, FBI officials, and DHS officials, or HSI, and the ask being that our family has long requested access to the FBI case files that we've never been privy to, because we feel like it would.
I wonder why that is. Maybe because it's classified information. I'm just surprised that the FBI or one of their chiefs there didn't go through any key points with the family. Is there any information on there that the family should know? Because obviously they're spending a lot of time investigating on what happened to a sister, and obviously the parents want answers as well.
Would not only fill in some of our gaps, but it would show us what they have done and what they never did.
Right.
So we're hopeful that Grassley's team's efforts will result in some action there.
Technically close the case in order to give you the file?
I don't know. I mean, we've requested that if that is required, then do so.
Then close the case and give us file, and then we could reopen it, right?
Yeah, and I know, I don't think we're going to get access to the grand jury testimony, although we've since been in touch with the assistant U.S.
No access to the grand jury testimony about people who actually came forward. So some of these people could be very, very important. I guess what they're basically saying is the family get involved. They could be hindering an investigation by contacting these people.
U.S. attorney who called that grand jury and spoken to him about kind of the same thing, is that, it's very difficult. I think the judge that presided himself would be the one who could release those, but I'm not hopeful that that's going to come out.
Have you ever seen anything from that file?
No, the only thing I've seen from the FBI are basically email communications that pertain to information that my mom or dad provided them. Mm-hmm. So in response to stuff that came from our side, there'd be some back and forth about it.
Right.
But we don't know. Essentially, we don't have a list of people they questioned, or a list of people they polygraphed, or a list of places that they've been to, or we don't know.
And they claim the case is still open because...
Don't know.
Okay. Because there's not anyone actively investigating from the FBI.
Don't know. They, again, they don't communicate with us. So we recently received an email.
It's absolutely crazy. Because, like I said, you would have thought that they'd said, look, we're going to investigate and talk to a few people on the island. If we do get information, we'll let you know. It seems that the FBI obviously are a secret sort of organization, police organization. I understand that, and they have to do their work. But like I said, look at this family. Over 28 years have been looking basically for their family member Amy, and he sounds exhausted. And I know there's a lot of avenues and people coming forward, but a lot of them are dead ends. And it's a really, really bizarre case. I don't actually think she's alive. I really don't at the moment, to be honest with you. But like I said, it is good for the family to get some kind of closure.
I think a couple of days ago, from the lead agent, requesting, now this is 98 days after we last spoke, when there was supposed to be a meeting set up in August that never happened. And much as, this has been our experience over the years, as a lack of communication and follow through from, and I'm not singling out the FBI as an agency as a whole, but certainly I think the agents that have been in charge of our case have been a disappointment to us. And maybe they've done more, to be fair, than we know about, and we're unfairly accusing them of not doing what they should have done. Maybe they did, but they just have never told us anything. There's a new agent that's going to be assigned to the case because Agent Sheridan got a promotion of some sort. You remember the two African American, I don't know if they're American, two black ladies that Amy was talking to in the matching uniforms on the boat the night before?
Yes.
So we were previously told by an FBI agent named Carrie Gleischer that we know who those women are. They refused to ever tell us who they were. The new agent, when they were recently having a conversation with our investigator, said, what, two black women?
So basically, if they're technically refusing basically to tell the family who these two women are, they know more about it than what they're letting on. That's what it seems like to me.
So, you have a new agent coming in that has no idea, 27 years worth of information he's got to learn. And I guess that would be true if a new team took the case anyway. Everybody would have to kind of start from the beginning. And we hope that that's, something that's going to happen.
It's kind of interesting that they're putting a new agent on it. I mean, Why? Because, well, I know the one got promoted, but if
Yeah.
they're not actively investigating,
And I don't. And again,
they might
maybe
be.
they are. They just
Yeah.
don't tell us anything. So, to answer your first question, I don't know whether or not our access to the files is predicated on the case being closed.
Mm-hmm.
If we get access to the files without the case being closed, I'm sure they'd be heavily redacted.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be like, well, thanks. We can't even see what.
Yeah, just
what
as a
you're saying.
journalist, I know trying to get things,
Information.
through open records that are any type of case file that's still pending, is almost always a no.
Yeah, and our
You know what I
FOIA requests have been denied and
Mm-hmm.
appealed and so forth. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why the case, if they're not doing anything, they're certainly not reinterrogating Yellow and Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
They're certainly not traveling to Grenada. Or if they are, I guess I have to continue to be fair. We just don't know about it. But a lot of people online have speculated that perhaps the case is kept in an open status to prevent us from having access to the files for whatever reason that might be. Maybe find out what they didn't do,
Right.
that they should have done. But I don't know.
It's certainly.
I mean, it seems like to me as well, if that the family basically are not happy with some of the FBI's investigation. Could be time, could be something they didn't look into, because obviously we know that the family have gone for everything with a fine comb. And obviously, Brad was there, her mum, dad was there as well. The dad was the last technically person to see her alive. And like I said, her fags had gone and lighter had gone. So it tells me that she went off. It's absolutely bizarre. I reckon she went off to meet someone, possibility to get a drink or to get rugs or to have a fag or to meet somebody. And it went from there. Because like I said, it's bizarre. I do believe those early parts she was on that island, basically because there are people who've specifically mentioned her tattoos and what she looked like. And I don't think there'd be many women at that time on the island looking like Amy.
Help from an investigative standpoint, though, I can see your perspective of, okay, well, now we know we can cross this off the list as, not a possibility. And they never explored this. That is a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how are you to know what's been done, or like where to start?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where's a good place to start?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that effort ongoing on the federal level. You've spoken additionally with the Attorney General's office here in Virginia.
Yeah, we actually met first with Winsome Sears, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears' office. She actually was the only one out of everyone we've spoken to that reached out to us, offering her help. So we had a meeting with her and her team. They essentially said that from a state level, they recommended that we go federal to federal. So they've recommended we get in touch with Representative McGuire, who we since have. I spoke to his assistant this afternoon, and they're considering drafting a letter of the same sort to the same type people, as a kind of a multifaceted
Multi-pronged,
approach. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we met with Sears, and she was extremely nice. Pointed us in a certain direction, but really didn't give us much to go on. Didn't offer to, write a letter herself or, like the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Attorney General's office, we met with Deputy Attorney General and the Director of External Affairs with his office. And they are still in the process of revising and drafting a letter to DOJ and FBI requesting similar things.
Might get more traction after the election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, with the government shutdown and then the election in Virginia and, the letter, I think, was held up quite a bit when it was sent to Youngkin's team.
It's just so sad. It really, really is that there are no leads And it just seems like to me that there are people that have information but are not willing to sort of give it to the family. It seems surely people who were on that cruise, the boat next door with those religious people on there who actually came on to the boat, the family who were on the Caribbean cruise boat, and were technically witnessing to them. It's of religious things. But like I said, it's just bizarre. It really is bizarre that a lot more people who are working on that boat haven't really come out and said something. Fear is one of them. It's just not a good thing, to be honest with you, because the family, it seems like to me, will not rest until they know whether she's alive or dead or what happened to her. And I truly respect that because, like I said, Brad Bradley has taken a lot on, and it must be very, very tiring as well, having to go through all these leads, and the majority of them end up without any answers.
And it got kind of stifled in legal counsel and all that kind of stuff. So that's still not, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with all of that, but hopefully the letter goes out by the end of the week. And certainly I would expect that if it's going to be delayed anymore, it would be after November 4th.
Mm-hmm. And talk about a little bit about the legislative actions that you are looking at broadly down the road, the AAMI alerts, and then also the independent security on ships.
Yeah, so there's three main ones in my mind that we'd like to have mandated, because we all know that the cruise industry is not going to electively choose to do these things. One would be, and I think it's common sense, there was a gal on TikTok that came up with AAMI alerts, and I think we spoke about this on our first interview. So very similar to Amber Alerts. So if a child is missing, everybody's cell phone goes off, and with the information. And AAMI alerts would be on cruise ships. If someone goes missing, every single person on that boat, their cell phone goes off with pictures and last seen wearing with this person, all this kind of information. Because when Amy went missing, we not only didn't have that, we had, in my opinion, an effort to conceal what had happened from the passengers. We were told, quote, they wouldn't make an announcement because it would disturb the other passengers.
You didn't want to wake anyone up. It was early. Right. I do remember all of that.
So all that kind of stuff. And, to have some sort of standard operating procedure, which the captain admitted to us they did not have for a missing person at that time, which I find hard to believe. But to mandate an actual procedure where that ship gets locked in place, and then gangways don't go down, nobody gets off, and everybody's made aware of what's happening. A search is performed before anybody's allowed to leave the boat. All that.
That's how it should have been, to be honest with you. That's how it should have been. That boat should have been searched, and that captain should have been more thorough. I mean, to be honest, I think that captain was a bit of an arse.
Kind of thing. So that AAMI alert would be a huge one. There's a petition on change.org that's, I think, garnered over 20,000 signatures. Should be 1,020,000 signatures, in my opinion. I don't know who doesn't think that's a
good idea. Right.
So I would encourage everybody to go to change.org or to go to my social media, X, TikTok, the Linktree, and those platforms, the Facebook group, the Instagram page. All that information is there. Please sign the petition, and we're trying to push that through our efforts with federal and all that kind of stuff ultimately.
That was absolutely brilliant. About, like I said, some kind of personal security, and that other people are notified that someone is missing on a boat through their phones. I think that's very, very important. And I do think there should be some kind of app in place for that as well. In my honest opinion, I don't think Amy's alive. I really, really don't. But like I said, you can see the determination of Brad Bradley wanting so many answers. But it just seems like to me, he's come across a lot of dead ends. after so much information actually come through, which hadn't really led anywhere. But it is important to put this case out because I think the whole world wants to know what happened to Amy Bradley at the end of the day. I do believe that she did. I don't believe she drowned. I just don't believe that because I think her body would have been found. I believe she was on that island. If you new to this case, listen to what the eyewitnesses had to say. And Brad Bradley had said that there were up to 3 people who saw Brad with yellow, basically between basically 5:30 and 6 or just after 6, which is alarming. Because don't forget, I think the boat docked a couple of hours later after that, which is bizarrely how basically obviously the family raised the alarm that she was missing. Nobody should have been allowed to get off that boat. That is absolutely bizarre. I do think there were people who know more on that boat. Whether they're in on it or not, we'll never know. I think Yellow knows more, but like I said, we can't prove it. Let me know your thoughts, people, on the Amy Bradley case. I do think that the family are really desperate for answers, and it's just so sad that nothing has come up at the moment. Thank you all.